Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. So today we'll be talking about some January releases that I have read. I want to say back in January but not exactly because some of them I actually discovered quite recently. So let's go. So out of all the books that was released on January, I have read 4 of them. Of course, obviously I cannot read them all, but so far I have been quite pleased. So if you guys don't realize, I got this lapel mic that I'm not even sure is working. Is it on? Is it even on or not? You know, maybe who cares? But if it's not working, then I'd say that's money down the drain. I'm just not gonna wear this because it is super distracting when I look at it on screen, so I'm just gonna... So this is gonna be like a short review of each of those books. We're gonna start with Radhika Sanghani, 30 Things I Love About Myself. This book was very easy and a very light read. It's part of the women's fiction. I thought it was good. I gave it 3 stars on Goodreads. This book tells the story of Nina, whom after breaking up with her fiance of God knows how many years have gone, and then she found this book that says that talks about how she can improve herself, that she talks about the art of self-love, and thus she began her journey on finding the 30 things that she loves about herself. So throughout this book you get to see like things happening to her and how she's trying to get her life back together so that, you know, she's embarking on this road to self-love. And honestly, it is a very simple, it's very easy read. It's actually quite fun and lighthearted. There were some moments that were surprisingly profound and quite emotional. But yeah, I think I like it enough. However, there's a reason why I can only give it 3 stars. The first reason was one of the steps that she took to rebuild herself is that as a freelance writer, she wrote this article about brown women representation. And then because of the viral nature of her article, she was called on live TV. She was immediately tackled by the interviewer who were trying to put words in her mouth. And she's not really handling it in the best way. Now, I get it. Like, I don't have any problem with this part. It is what comes after that confuses me a little bit. After that article, a lot of people are criticizing her, saying that she was being racist and everything. The issue that she chose to talk about is very sensitive. Well, they have every right to be angry. As a reader of this story, I understand that she comes from the right place, that she is trying to say the right things, but in the wrong way instead. What I don't like about the things that happen after that is that she's sent out this apology letter on Instagram or Twitter, on social media, when her friends told her that, hey, you received this really positive review, positive things about your apology and stuff, and the response was overwhelming. She realized that after that she becomes this quote-unquote queen of self-love. It just doesn't feel right. How can you twist the narrative from you talking about something that is so sensitive in an insensitive way into being the queen of self-love? Imagine if Ellen DeGeneres, after all this drama that surfaced about her real personality, and then all of a sudden she's just apologized and all of a sudden, oh, I'm the queen of self-love. It would be just super weird. Maybe it's just I don't understand what it was, but if you do understand and can help me understand why it is important or that how to rationalize it, please let me know. And I took away another star because of the ending. You see, after I thought that once she reached the 30th number, the 30th thing that she loves about herself, I thought that, okay, story's over. The perfect way to end the book. Like, she reconciled with her friends, she bond more with her mother, and then she helps her brother to overcome depression. So I thought that she's gonna end up with some guy, but no. This is more like her finding her way to loving herself. But instead, they decided to take away all of the nuance and just like, hey, we know you're the queen of self-love already, but here's a hat on a hat. We fast forward to her return from her trip to India, and then she has a birthday as well as her marriage ceremony to herself, and then came out as a bisexual. And I'm like, she even has like an Om tattoo on her body somewhere. I think it was on her boob. It takes away all of the subtlety, all of the powerful nuance that the story could have had with the the number 30 ending. So not only that we know that you have achieved your goal in finding the 30 things that you love about yourself, but you also managed to but it also encapsulates all of the other things, all of the other achievements that she have gained. Imagine it this way, okay? If you have watched the movie Old Boy by Park Chan-wook, then the ending of the movie is where the main character, Oh Dae-soo, after he asks this doctor to erase his memory, and then we get this final shot of his face where he's like smiling, but he's also like crying. So you kind of have no idea, like, did he actually forget about all the terrible things that he discovered about himself, or did he not? It's that kind of nuance. It's like you'll never know. But what if you have Old Boy, and then instead of that beautiful final shot, you have this mid-credit scene where Odesu just declared, I still remember everything, or I have forgotten about everything. I can't even imagine it. It's just too painful to butcher an ending to a movie that is so great. But I still enjoyed it because there are parts that are surprisingly good. For instance, like how they deal with mental illness, Nina's brother who is experiencing depression, and how in Asian family, I mean, being an Asian myself, I totally understand that sometimes mental illness in Asian culture, it's like people don't really talk about it. They're more like, I want to say ashamed of it. The way Nina's mom is like telling everyone that, well, Nina's brother is like going somewhere and it's like he's on a holiday and shit. He needs psychological help. But the mom is not willing to talk about this. The mom is not willing to be open about this to everyone. So yeah, that's all that I have about 30 things I love about myself. The second book for January is The Maid by Nita Prose. This is probably my favorite. I love Nita Prose writing. The story is about Molly Maid, who is accidentally caught in a murder mystery where she instantly becomes the main suspect for the murder of a business magnate. She knows, and we all know, that she did not commit a crime. Why we know that she won't commit a crime? Because Molly Maid, as a POV character, because this is a first-person perspective, we see that she's definitely not capable of committing such thing. She has a very unique personality. She is an old person trapped in a young person's body. Or maybe that's the way to say it, but I can also say that she's having a hard time interacting with people. She doesn't have a good social skills. She speaks like people in the 50s or 60s or something, and the language that she used. And that is exactly what I like about this book, is how the way Nita Prose writes from the POV of this character that is so old-fashioned, that is so socially inept, that I feel cringed, but at the same time I'm fascinated. I cringed so many times in this story because, like, from her eyes, even though we see the world from her eyes, but we know, dude, that's not how you respond to situations. That's not how you respond to people. You should have said this and that. For instance, there's this one part that actually made me laugh, but also cringed. Molly stumbled upon this room, and then there is like a few men who are obviously doing cocaine or packaging cocaine. Anyway, something related to drugs. But she's like, what are you guys doing? This room is so messy. And like, who eats the powdered donuts? And I'm, honey, that's not powdered donuts. Even I know that. And then she just started cleaning. Everyone was like, what is this girl an idiot? She's not exactly an idiot. She's special. Her writing style is snappy. The book is actually very fast-paced. I enjoyed it so much. I liked Molly's character. I sympathize with her a lot, and I also empathize with her. But most importantly, I love her character development. I love what she achieved by the end of the story. She deserves everything after all the shit that she's been through. It is a bit sad, you know, especially at the beginning with her grandmother died, and she just doesn't know how to feel about it. She just doesn't know how to express it. And then she's like, I'm just gonna go to work because life goes on. But she doesn't know how to grieve and everything. And everyone was just so weirded out about her. It was also a bit painful in a good way when, you know, she's clearly smitten with this bartender. but the guy is bad news. And I think you should read this. I highly recommend The Maid to everyone. If you like murder mystery, and if you like, but at the same time lighthearted, not too dark, it's good. It's totally good. And then we have the third with Morgan Rhodes, Echoes and Empires. This is my second favorite in this list. In this book, there's a zombie prince, and there's like illicit affairs, and a really hot guy. This is gonna be the first book in the, I don't know what series. So this is a YA fantasy. So the story is about Jocelyn Drake, the daughter of the former Prime Minister of the Ironport Empire, who was kidnapped by this man called Jericho, aka Blackheart. During their first meeting, a magic that was trapped in a box accidentally seeped into her, and Jericho needed that magic to give to his master, a powerful witch called Valerie. Morgan Rhodes' Echoes and Empires has this very interesting concept with that magic is not happen in the past or in present day, but it happens in the future, where magic is outlawed. Those who possess it and use it are condemned to death, and the world is digitalized. Well, which means that it's bad news for Jocelyn, considering her position, as well as she's gonna lose favor with the queen, whom she's like BFF with. However, I cannot give this book a 5-star. One of the reasons is because of the world building. It doesn't feel as vivid as other YA or other fantasy setting or future setting that I have read. There's something lacking there. I can't put my finger on it, but it's definitely need a bit more. But otherwise, when it comes to plot, when it comes to character, I love it. I think Morgan Rhodes is just really good at writing dialogues, because I find these the lines that the characters have sounds really believable, and they all feel like filled with personality. But it's also a bit of a bad thing, because the more I read, the more I realized that everyone is trying to banter, everyone is trying to be sarcastic, everyone is trying to give this edgy response, everyone is trying to be Deadpool. You know, I thought it was gonna be a good thing because I like Deadpool. Then I realized that maybe it's not really a good thing, but I don't really hate it. I'm actually really enjoying the back and forth banter. Some of the parts felt a bit too expository. It's like Morgan Rhodes doesn't really know how to convey some background information, so it results to info dumping. But at the same time, I don't mind. Maybe it sounds as if like I'm making excuses because I like this book. There's weakness, totally. I enjoyed it because despite its weakness, Morgan Rhodes actually make it up for it with the plot. There were surprising twists and turns here and there. I like Jocelyn as a protagonist because she seems like this really snobby and self-absorbed girl. I like the fact that we have a starting point for a character. Like she's not a bad person, really. Yeah, she's a bit self-absorbed, but she's not terrible at all. She's just a 17-year-old girl trying to get back to her normal life, and she's also faced a lot of hardship watching her father get assassinated in front of her, and that she realized that most of her friends are backstabbers. It's not something that any of us want to experience. And the story is very enjoyable because of Jocelyn's POV. She's very quippy, and that, you know, like she can be very sarcastic. I guess I'm charmed by it. I love how the stories also go on a slightly more realistic road, and how political propaganda work, because Jocelyn is also one of those people that is affected by this propaganda. She truly believed that magic is evil, and thus this is about her journey in discovering that no, people are evil, but magic is not evil. And she is on this process to discover and uncover some truth about herself. But anyway, I love the story a lot, and especially with the twists and turns. However, there are some things that I have genuine issue with. It's not an issue, it's more like a concern. You see, this book has a lot of twists and turns and a lot of revelations, and I like it. And some of them I can see coming, which is not a problem at all, because a good plot twist is where the writers leave clues every single question that she have posed is all answered by the end of this book. I wished that Morgan Rhodes actually saved some of this revelation for the next book. I would love it if she just left some things as a mystery. That's one thing that I actually like about this story, is how they build up Jericho and Jocelyn's relationship. They start off as this bickering, these two bickering people, and I think it's well done. Enemies to lovers, or hate to love. And in this case, yes, they start off really not liking each other at all, considering she's very self-absorbed, and she's like this posh princess, and she's like,
ew, who are you, peasant?
And then when they build up this relationship and how they start to get closer to each other, it feels very natural, and at the same time it's also very heartbreaking, considering there's also a revelation regarding their relationship. I totally enjoyed it. I actually feel a bit sad because I feel like, man, I shouldn't have picked this book up now. I should have waited until Morgan Rhodes released everything, and then I could just marathon the whole thing like I did with Holly Black Folk of the Air series, because I read the whole thing in one sitting and it was so good. And now I'm probably gonna have to wait a whole year for the second installment of this series, and I am already feeling very impatient. Morgan Rhodes, please. That's all I can say. And then the last book of the January series is Reckless Girls by Rachel Hawkins. Last year I also read The Wife Upstairs by Rachel Hawkins, which is also very good, and I highly recommend it. That book, according to review and according to me, it's if Rebecca meets Jane Eyre. If you are familiar with those two books, then you already know what you're getting into. I think that Rachel Hawkins has this way of using different timelines and mesh them together, as well as writing these characters in a very like, oh, you think they're like that? No, they're actually like this. You think they have their life put together? Too bad. Reckless Girls is about Lux, whose boyfriend Nico is hired to take two girls to this secluded island. It actually reminds me a little bit of The Beach. This book is also deals with issues like personal trauma and death and depression, and there's a lot of mystery that you have to uncover because these characters have a lot of shit in them. The story goes back and forth between Lux POV and also Amy and Brittany's POV, the other two girls that hire Nico. And I thought it was really cool the way Rachel Hawkins do that, just like in The Wife Upstairs. I haven't decided what I want to rate this one yet. I think I'm just gonna have to think a bit longer for this one. That's all the 4 January releases that I've read. So have you guys read any of them? And if you have, tell me what you think. If you agree with me, you disagree with me, maybe you have other January releases that I should have picked up, please feel free to recommend it to me. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.